Imagine stumbling upon a lifetime's work from a single, totally unknown thinker. I mean, a huge, chaotic collection of documents, complex code, deep philosophical notes, and it's all aimed at one single audacious goal, a theory of everything. So today we are going to try and unpack the incredible mystery of Rudolf Schmidt and his frankly mind-bending vision of reality. Let's dive in.
This one line, it was found on an old audio log buried in all his files, and it just gets right to the heart of it all. Schmidt's work is so incredibly detailed, so ambitious. It really forces you to ask some big questions about the nature of reality and, about the mind that tried to capture it all.
So what is this thing? To have any chance of figuring that out, we have to sift through it all. The philosophy, the code, the physics, because this isn't just an idea he jotted down. It's more like a blueprint for an entire universe in a box. And, well, like any universe, it has to start with a solid foundation.
Pretty much every big system of thought, right, from Newton's laws to quantum mechanics, it's always built on a few core rules or axioms. And Schmidt's theory is no different. So to even get our foot in the door of his world, we have to start with his 3 fundamental laws.
Okay, so his entire foundation rests on 3 laws that try to connect, well, everything. First, you've got the law of movement. And get this, he says it applies not just to physical objects, but to the path an idea takes inside your mind. Next is the law of thinking, which basically says that the simple act of processing information is what creates a self. And finally, maybe the biggest one, the law of time. Schmidt saw life itself as just a finite cycle of energy being used up. But here's the real key. These aren't separate rules to him. They're his attempt to prove that our thoughts and physical matter actually obey the exact same principles.
So, with that philosophical groundwork laid, now we can look at the engine that actually drives Schmidt's universe. And this is where things get really, really wild. He didn't just write down ideas. He actually tried to build his version of reality, using the 2 languages he seemed to know best, physics and computer code.
Okay, don't worry, you do not need to be a physicist to get this. This is Schmidt's own twist on the famous Dirac equation, which is a huge deal in quantum mechanics. The key here isn't the symbols themselves, it's the incredible ambition behind them. Let's just break down what he was trying to do with this math.
And right here, you can see the massive scale of what he was aiming for. He introduces this concept he calls information density, arguing that pure information can literally bend space-time, just like gravity from a planet does. He proposes that our mind and physical matter are really just 2 sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other. I mean, think about that. He's not just describing the universe, he's trying to write consciousness directly into its source code.
And speaking of code, he didn't just stop at the equations. Nope. He wrote thousands of lines of Python code to try and simulate his ideas. This little snippet here, this quantum system simulator, this is basically the heart of his attempt to create a tiny virtual universe where his laws of physics could actually run.
You can kind of think of it like he was building with digital Legos. He designed this whole framework he called DeepMind, which was a simulated mind with different modules that all snap together. Memory, emotion, logic. He even included a process for self-reflection. But the system wasn't static. No, it was designed to interact with a virtual environment, to learn from it, and to evolve. He was, in essence, trying to build a thinking mind completely from scratch.
All right, so we've got the philosophical laws, we've got the quantum equations, and we have the simulation code. So now let's put all of these pieces together and finally take a look at the grand vision, the unified reality that Schmidt was working towards his entire life.
He gave it a name, of course. It's a bit of a mouthful. SUTQRD, which stands for Schmidt's Unified Theory of Quantum Relativity Dynamics. The goal here was nothing less than the holy grail of physics, to unify everything, to build one single framework that could finally bridge the gap between the huge world of stars and planets and the bizarre world of tiny quantum particles. And the bridge he decided to build was made of 2 very radical materials, information and consciousness.
So, how does this SUT2QRD thing stack up against other grand theories? Well, string theory says everything's made of vibrating strings. Loop quantum gravity says space-time is a network of tiny loops. But Su2QRD's core idea is that reality emerges from the interaction between energy and information. But the most radical part, by far, is the philosophical side, panpsychism. That's the mind-bending idea that consciousness isn't just something special that happens in our brains, it's a fundamental property of the universe, woven right into the fabric of everything. So for Schmidt, a thinking mind isn't a fluke, it's the cosmos becoming aware of itself.
So, we've journeyed through the philosophy, the physics, and the code of this breathtakingly ambitious project. And all of that brings us right back to where we started, to that one profound question that sits at the very heart of this whole mystery.
So what have we actually uncovered here? Is this a genuine blueprint for reality, or is it the beautiful, incredibly intricate obsession of a singular mind? Was Schmidt actually mapping the universe, or was he just mapping the complex patterns of his own consciousness? That's the profound question his work leaves us with. And you know, the really unsettling part is, within his own theory, there might be no difference between the two.